Welcome, everyone, today to the 1% Better podcast. Today I'm on with my good friend, Tom Rauen, the Fast Food Landlord, some people could say. And this is where everyday Joes get 1% better, investors, business owners, and everything. Tom, thanks for being here.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, awesome. We got a solid run-in this morning. Tom kind of kicked my ass a little bit. I haven't been running for a minute, so it was good to get back out there.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a nice morning.
Yeah, it was sweet. So give us a little walkthrough, Tom, on, kind of start to finish, what got you here into the t-shirt business, and then obviously the commercial real estate side we want to talk a little bit about too.
All right. So I started the t-shirt business in my parents' basement 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And as that continued to grow, we were renting first, and then wanted to, I knew I wanted to get into real estate, and so we were looking for a commercial space for our business, and that process, it took a while. So every space we were looking at, I wanted a good location first off, because it's always like, all right, location.
Yeah.
But at the time, like I couldn't wrap my head around some of the spaces, like how big they were, because we were at 2,000 square feet.
Yeah.
And a lot of the space I was looking at were between 10 and 15,000. And I was like, man, that's a huge jump.
Yeah.
And then financially, I was in my 20s, and I was like, how can I afford to even do this? And so the first space we found, I actually looked at a couple times, and then finally, after like a year, I came back to it, and I was like, all right, how can I make this thing work? It was 12,000 square feet. So I'm like, that's 6 times
bigger
than what we were at. And I was like, I got to figure out how to make this work. And I remember listening to, podcasts about house hacking. And I was like, all right, how can I house hack this space? And so I figured out, like, all right, if we subdivide this, redo the facade, subdivide it, and we're going to take 7,000 square feet and then have 2 other storefronts of 2,500 each, or if somebody wanted to lease all 5,000, what I figured out, so the purchase price was $650,000.
Yep.
We had to stick probably $200,000 into the build out and redo the facade to subdivide the space. But what I figured out with all that, my monthly payment to the bank was going to be $5,000.
Okay.
The 5,000 square feet, we were planning on renting out at $12 a square foot, so that payment was going to be $5,000. So the whole plan was like, holy crap, we can make this work. We can bump up from 2,000 to 7,000 square feet. We can have a tenant essentially house hacking and paying our mortgage, so then we don't even have to pay rent. Or if we do, it's just we're paying ourselves
$200.
Yeah, we're paying ourselves the profit essentially. And luckily, within like a couple months, we found a tenant for the 5,000 square feet. They, awesome tenant. They're still there today in that building.
Wow.
And so the idea was, at some point, if we outgrow the 7,000, we would just take over their space and then have the whole building.
Yep.
Well, they were such a good tenant, and they were paying for the mortgage, that once we outgrew the 7,000, it was like, okay, now we have to go look for a bigger building.
Yeah.
So we went from 7,000 to 35,000. And so we bumped up like a ton again.
It's wild.
Yeah. And so ended up, after COVID, we sold that building.
Okay.
And so we bought for $650,000 in 2012. And then in 2022, so 10 years later, we sold it for $1.65 million. And had a tenant paying the mortgage the entire time.
That's awesome. That's sweet. So what type of renovations did you have to put that tenant in there? Did you have to like subdivide the space at all, or so improvements involved in that?
It was kind of just a big shell. So one just subdividing. So we had our space, and theirs was divided separately.
Yep.
Same with the utilities. But then after that, they did their own build out.
Okay.
So we were very fortunate. They were coming from another building that the landlord needed the space, and essentially bought them out of their lease and gave them allowance for a build out at a new place. So we didn't even have to do any of the TI when they moved in to build out. And really, like, this was our first commercial property. didn't even know what TI meant, or like,
It took me a second because I'm not in space. I'm like,
yeah,
"Shit, tenant improvements.
Tenant improvement. So like, I didn't even know that was part of it.
Yeah.
That when you get a new tenant, part of the negotiation of the lease is, okay, well, we understand the space needs updating.
Yep.
We'll help cover, maybe a flooring allowance or paint or something like that. And I didn't even know, like I said, I was in my 20s. I didn't even know there was a thing. I just assumed like, all right, sign the lease and you guys take care of everything.
That's the way I'm kind of am right now.
Yeah, so it was
I'm getting
good.
into my first commercial deal, and I'm like, God, looking over the leases, and because it's so different from residential.
Yeah.
It's like simple. You're taking care of the utilities, you're taking care of the lawn, or I'm taking care of it. It's just like cut and dry. You're calling me for all the stuff. In this, it's like, I really need to read through this because you're talking prorated taxes, prorated insurance, who's paying for these common areas, who's not. And then thank God these tenants have been here for a while, but it's kind of the same thing you were talking about. The market rents are just so low because these spaces were leased up during COVID. So it'll be a big learning experience for me. So,
Yeah, for sure.
Getting in the fire, getting in the trenches. But so that building you bought, going back to that a little bit, was that an SBA loan you used since you occupied over 51% of it?
Yeah.
So you took advantage of that?
So we used the SBA loan. Like I mentioned, it was $650,000.
Yeah.
At the time, I was in my, I think I was 28.
Yeah.
And so with the SBA loan, we were able to get in with 10% down. So I need to come up with $65,000.
Yep.
I did not have $65,000. We had to. So looking back, this is absolutely crazy that the company that owned it was a REIT out of Chicago, and we had to sign an extension onto, essentially closing.
Yeah.
6 times. We extended this thing for over 6 months.
Oh, man.
While I was trying to basically make more money, sell more t-shirts, like scrounge up money out of the couch cushions, like whatever, just to come up with the 65,000. Like we just had to keep it, like we'd get to the end of the 30 days and they're like, all right, we're ready to close. And I'd be like, I'm still like 10,000 short.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, we got to extend another 30 days. Yeah. And they kept extending it where, I look at it now and I'm like, even a lot of the deals we're doing right now, I'm like, I don't think any of the sellers would do that. They'd just be like, well, see you, we're taking your earnest money and running with it.
Talk to you later.
So I was very fortunate that they were able to extend and they were patient for us to get the 65,000 rounded up. But that's
wild.
At the time, it was like, we were scraping everything to get there.
Yeah. So you were married at that point, right? Any kids? 28.
No kids.
No kids.
We were not married yet.
Okay.
So I think I purchased that. I think it was in April of, it was right at the beginning of 2012, and then we got married at the end of 2012.
Okay. So I was just thinking through like cash flow perspectives. You got this business you're running. You're trying to pour all the money you have into this new purchase in this building. What were your thoughts maybe in that moment for someone that's starting to grow and take risks and don't know where to start? Like, you were pretty much burning the boats and sending it, into this new place. Like, you didn't have any other cash to kind of pull together besides that, that there wasn't much 6 months of, capital laying around in case something went sideways.
Yeah, no, for sure. We were, I would say there was 3 points kind of in this journey that were full send moments where it's like, we're going all in, no matter what, like burn the boats, like everything else. That was 2012 when we bought that building, 2018 when we bought the current building that we're in.
Okay.
And then 2021 after COVID, once we really start ramping up the commercial real estate, it was like, all right, let's go all in on this, make it happen. So all 3 points. But then if I look back all my life, those 3 points greatly altered the trajectory of like where we're at now. Yeah. And those are pivotal points that I'll look back on my entire life and be like, all right, 2012, 2018, 2021, like those 3 years. and I don't know when the next pivotal point will be. But those 3 like will always stick out as big years. And the other part that's kind of funny about that is, so 2012 we got married.
Yep.
And 2018 being the pivotal year, that's the year we also started the brewery.
Okay.
And it's also when our second son was born.
Wow.
So 2018 was like
crazy year.
It was wild.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more. We talked quite a bit about that 2012 year. Talk to me a little bit more of some of the challenges you had, what you're working on in 2018, and some of the things you learned during that time.
Yes, 2018, we were moving from 7,000 square feet to 35,000. In the process of, so we bought a building when we were starting up this brewery, gutting that whole building, going through that process of that whole startup. We had a kid on the way. We had another screen printing business over in Western Iowa that was operating. And we were in the process of shutting down that operation and combining it here, since we had the space here.
Where was that at? Just curious.
In Denison, Iowa.
Oh, yeah.
And then...
I'm from Carroll, so not
okay,
far away.
yeah. And so then at the same time, we had bought our second triple net lease is BioLife Plasma.
Okay.
And so there was a lot. 2018 was literally... we were going all in on every aspect of life. I mean, it was full on. There was a lot happening. And so, yeah, it felt like when there was momentum going, we just, embraced it, jumped on it, and, just fed off of one project to the next.
Okay. Gotcha. And you were renovating that entire brewery at this point.
Yeah.
Right? What was that process like for you, and what did you learn?
It was cool. So that was, one of the few or only, I would say, like, big renovation. We redid the facade of that first building on McDonald Drive in 2012. I learned some lessons there. Being young, I didn't know, how to work with contractors very well.
Yeah.
This one, again, learned a little more. Had some great contractors on it, but it was literally taking this, over 100-year-old building, gutting it completely down to the original brick walls, tearing out all the foundation, because we had redo it. Like, the floor was all broken up. I mean, this building was a complete mess, but we took out the drop ceiling. Yep. And saw this beautiful, old wood that's 100 years old, amazing rafters, exposed them. We've got a great partner with that business, Jeff, and he's leading the way, and we're like brainstorming and everything else. Yep. But at the same time, trying to figure out, like, not just the construction side and the real estate side of things, but the business, startup operations. And we had 3 really amazing brewers who are still, part of the brewery team, and they helped, with the equipment and the brew house, all that portion of it. But yeah, it was just kind of a really exciting thing. Like, anytime you start up a company, to be able to take the vision and make it a reality. Yeah. There's just a lot of fun stuff that goes with that.
Sweet. So you got a lot cooking. You got the t-shirts, you got the brewery, you got obviously the commercial real estate. What does a day in the life of Tom look like these days? You got a family.
Yeah.
You're running all these races. You just got back from a long race, so.
Yeah. Get up early, figure out what get after it with a good workout, usually a trail run of some sort, and try to get home before the kids are up, help get them ready for school, drop them off, and then I'm in the office just doing whatever needs my attention for that day. Yep. A lot of meetings, a lot of stuff, but it's a pretty typical 8 to 5. Yep. And then 5 home with the family and whatnot. So I'm very fortunate that in all the businesses and everything I do, I've got amazing partners. I've got amazing teammates. Everybody else to work with that we get a lot of stuff done, and being the face of the company, I get a lot of credit for it, but the reality is, like, it's all the people behind the scenes that are making everything. Because people always ask me, like, oh, how do you get all this done? Like, how do you operate? How do you do all this? And it's like, well, they're like, you've got to be like,
Superman.
working. Yeah, I'm working like 80 hours a week. I'm like, well, no, I'm not working that much. We just have really good people and really good partners that help, carry the weight of everything. My wife being one of them, besides all the family stuff and keeping me in line, she's managing all the real estate. So that's 35 properties, 75 tenants.
Yeah.
And she's putting out the fires.
That's awesome.
Doing a lot of work.
That's cool. That actually kind of leads what you're talking about, how Tom can get everything done in the day. Because I have about 8 team members that I'm managing myself. My partner's managing the other 6 or 7. And how was that process for you on delegating? I'm on the first layer of trust of giving back everything to these people. I've been doing everything, start to finish, from finding the deals, acquiring them, doing the renovations, doing the books, doing the marketing. And so you've been able to hand off some of those responsibilities to others. Do you think that's more of a process-oriented thing, or more of a people process for you, like just finding good people and putting them in the right seats, or is it a combination of both? What are your thoughts on that?
Probably finding the right people.
Yeah.
So I'm terrible at processes. Like,
okay.
I'm a
Which
big,
is surprising, because all the machines and things I see out here, I would think kind of different. But
yeah, maybe I just think I am, but I know what I can see, and I can visualize what needs to be done. I'm just like not like a 1, 2, 3, like here's the steps to do it and everything.
Yeah.
And so I think it's getting the right people, giving them the autonomy to do it and take ownership, and like not micromanage them.
Yep.
So I put a lot of trust in everybody. I know, like, if I hire them to do a certain task and they're just gonna get it done, and I don't feel like I have to, check in, or I just think we're on the same team. We're rowing, in the same direction, that they're doing it to their best ability. And I can't get nitpicky on, like, well, I would have did it this way, or something like that. So I think the problem people run into is, like, their expectations might be, well, here's how I would have did it, or whatever else. And at the end of the day, it's like, well, if it gets done, it's still great. You don't have to micromanage and, like, be nitpicky on the rest of the team.
Yeah. So what's your, I wouldn't say process, because you're not very process oriented, but what's your way? How do you go out and find new people? Is that just networking, being out in the community? Are you big on, like, Indeed or anything like that? What's for someone that's looking out to make some more new hires? Because
that's the hardest part.
People are hard. Good people are hard to come by.
Yeah, for sure. I think being active in the community, for one. We work with a kind of like a third-party HR agency, and I've been really big lately on just like the personality test and the assessments of, is someone the right fit? Yeah. Because we've had stuff where, we thought it was the right fit, but their skills didn't line up to, kind of the job description, things like that. And, it's equally as important for the owner as it is for that employee to, like, understand that, because if you put somebody into a position and they're not the right fit, they're going to struggle, and, like, that person isn't having fun if they're struggling. So you really want to make sure that they're sitting in the right seat and it's not a struggle for them. So I always say, like, it should bring joy and it should feel easy for them. So I think about the tasks and the stuff I do, and if it doesn't bring me joy and it's not easy and I feel like I'm struggling to do something, I usually find the person on my team that it's the opposite for. And it's crazy, like, most people don't realize, like, there's certain tasks that, like, some people actually love to do and the next person hates to do it, and so I think finding what those strengths and weaknesses are, and then finding the people to, match up with those.
So are there certain personality tests that you do every single time with someone that's coming on board to your team?
Yeah. So this company, it's their own like proprietary assessment, and it matches up specifically with different job descriptions.
Gotcha. So a sales job is a different test than a bookkeeper, than a line worker, than whatever.
Yep.
Cool. That's interesting. You're the second guy that's told me that. I know another gentleman, he just kind of does more of a broad assessment because he doesn't have a third-party agency that does it. But you're saying that's worth the money. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of love languages?
Yeah.
All right. So I didn't know about this until like 5 years ago.
I didn't learn about it till after I met my wife. So probably like 2 or 3. So I'm in the same boat.
It's better now because you guys just got married.
Yeah.
And I learned about it way too late. I'm like, man, I've been screwing shit up for a while.
Yeah.
And what the other thing I learned is there's basically the love languages for the workplace, which are it's like basically like ways people want to be recognized for what they do. Like some people is gifts, some people they want verbal, I'm going to screw these up, but some people, they just want like public recognition.
Yep.
Some is quality time. So there's some employees that they want to spend time with me. They want that quality time. Like to them, that's valuable. There's other ones that are like, no, like I'm here, I'm going to get my job done. And then like, I'm going home.
I'm out of here.
I'm out.
Just give me my paycheck. Let me do my thing and I'm gone.
And there's some that, they love to be, they want to be recognized for what they do at like all team meeting, and that fills them up and feeds them. And on the opposite side, there's certain employees that if you gave them recognition at a team meeting, they would literally want to like crawl in a hole or throw up because they're the opposite of that, right? And the same with gifts. Some people are like, they want to be rewarded with a gift card or some other like personalized gift. And there's others like, I don't care. Like, you don't have to like waste that like on me. So understanding that, how people want to be rewarded and recognized, like once I figured that out too, I was like, wow, we've been screwing this up for a while too, So it's fascinating how people work, and just the way that, we're, really pre-wired with our own personalities and everything else. And the cool thing now is you can take multiple different, whether it's DISC assessment, love languages, these other assessments, you can plug them all in the ChatGPT and say, all right, help me understand this better and help me work with this person on my team better, or, any other feedback on that. And ChatGPT, seems to be able to spit it out. And I even do it on myself. Like, hey, here's all my own personal things. Help me understand better, like how I'm going to succeed and how I can set up my day and my task. And of course, it comes back and it says, hey, based on your personality types and everything else, you're a very visual person. You need your schedule and stuff, color code it, and you need to be able to see it, in order to, otherwise you won't follow the process, or you won't be able to come up with it. And so it's fun, even personally, just like to get that feedback and to understand, how my brain works and how I work and how I can best set everything else up around me for it to be successful. Yeah,
that's great stuff. I'm gonna do that next week when we get back.
Yeah,
I've used chat quite a bit. I just like talking into it. Sometimes I say I probably talk to it more than my wife, because it's just like every time at work I'll just be thinking of an idea and I'll just talk to it for 3 or 4 minutes, kind of brain dump, and I'll go back to it and be like, based on these 2 years of conversations now, or a year or whatever, what do you think some of my strengths and weaknesses are? What are my holes? Because it's literally, I've talked to it for 30 minutes a day for the last year, and it's kind of scary, some of the stuff it'll bring up.
Yeah, so
but interesting too.
So I've read, one of my mentors talks about chat as your second brain.
Yeah.
Right. And she was saying last week that even on a weekly or monthly basis, you can say, hey, something feels off this week or whatever. And chat knows based on your language patterns. So when you're in abundance mindset and like everything's going good and, you know, you're just feeling good, like everything is going great.
Yeah.
You use different words than when, you know, let's say you're having a bad week or you have a lot of stress or something else going on.
Yeah.
There's different, you don't even notice it, but you're using different words and phrases in your language pattern, and chat's able to pick up those language patterns and will say like, hey, by the way that you've been essentially framing your sentences over the last week, I can tell that there's a lot of stress. Like, what's going on? Yeah,
that's crazy.
And it's even able to identify that before you know, yourself may understand like, oh shit, I am dealing with a lot more stress right now. Or you're trying to push it off or whatever the case is. So yeah, that second brain of like understanding shifts in language patterns and different things that you do.
Yeah. What do you think of AI overall? What's your opinion on it today and where it's headed, and how maybe someone can use it now?
It's super interesting. I think right now we're using it like 1% of what it's capable of. Yeah. So I think we'll look back in 5 years and we'll be like, that's weird. Why did we use it that way? Like talking to it and trying to do whatever and coming up with like whatever images and different things. So I think right now it's an experiment. A lot of people are trying to use it. We're probably using it wrong. And we're probably, you know, there's probably like 10 times powerful or more meaningful and efficient ways of using it that we'll discover. If I look back, you know, at when Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, it was like, all right, here's what this is doing. And then like goes from there. So yeah, I think it's a technology that's definitely going to change the game on a lot of different things. We just don't know or can't imagine its fullest capabilities yet. Yeah,
I'm super excited about, like in the maintenance area, just being able to take calls after hours. Like, I don't think it's cost effective quite yet, and the bugs aren't worked out, at least to my knowledge. It probably is in some cases, but my coach that I work with, he runs a physical therapy business out in Boston. He has 20 employees, but he has Paula AI, he calls it. And Paula's his front receptionist gal, but Paula AI takes the after hours calls. Yeah. And so I think of it sometimes, I get a little too excited, like, oh, hey, it's just gonna be plug and play. But he's been working on his AI receptionist since March this year. And he says it's about 95% there, which is still amazing. You know, having someone that just sounds like me and you take the phone and is gonna answer the questions like me and you are there is just crazy to think about. But he says there's a lot of little bugs that, you know, come up every once in a while. So
we've been testing one here at the t-shirt business. Okay. And it blows my mind. So I would get on a call with it for like an hour and try to stump it with questions. And we'd even have other people call it up and not tell them it was AI. Yeah. Like, hey, we just hired this new person. You got to call them and just like ask some questions. Yeah. And they would get all the way to the point where when the AI had to read back an email address, it would screw it up. Oh. But until that happened, the person thought they were talking to a real person. Yeah. They didn't even know. It's so good. And it's so smart that, you know, I was talking to her for an hour one day, trying to stump it with questions on ordering t-shirts. And all the questions I could think of when someone would call us to ask about, you know, their current t-shirt order or ordering custom shirts or whatever the case was. And I was like, holy crap, this thing is as smart or smarter than I am about the entire business. It was able to answer every question I can come up with about the business that I've learned over the last 20 years. Yeah. And then I'm like, is definitely smarter than the person that we just hired last year, because they're still trying to learn everything.
Yeah.
You know, like because there's just so many different variables and questions that come up in the business. And so we can only train and teach somebody new at the front desk like so fast. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Like how they actually, you know, so it's almost like if the person that's actually even sitting at the front desk has a question, they could ask our virtual or AI person, like,
hold on, let me ask the manager here, but let me put you on hold.
Basically
go right back
and get it. So it kind of blows my mind. And if it's getting 95 to 98% of the job done, or
it's pretty dang good.
Done, it's like, that's pretty good. And if you're able to, you know, some people are like, well, we don't want that. You know, with our business, we like a more personalized thing. And I'm like, well, do people really want that, or they just want their answer like
I think they
done?
Just want speed.
Yeah, and I think in some cases, especially with the younger generation, you know, we've got a number of customers who they don't even want to talk to someone on the phone, like they'd rather text.
Yeah.
And so I think the same thing applies. Like if they called up, they would rather talk to an AI than talk to a real person.
Well, yeah, if it's the speed, and I don't know any different. Like if it sounds like me and you instead of someone overseas, I'm going to be game with that. Like I think when I have to log into some of my software and there's no number to call and you have to talk with a chat bot for 45 minutes, like that just drives me up a wall. Or you got to call into your credit card company because your credit card's lost or someone overdrafted it, and you're talking with someone from the Philippines that maybe you can't understand as well as, you know, someone that's your next door neighbor.
Right.
I think that does make a difference on building rapport with that person. And if you can just get everyone just wants something like this. You know, we saw the Amazon guys going out this morning. We live in such a fast world anymore that people, you talked about patience, like just having patience in your business and stuff on our run this morning, but just having patience, no one wants to do that. You know, everyone wants something now.
Yep.
You know, so that's pretty cool. So do you use a third party like site to handle that, or is it something more internal with your AI software? Or?
Yeah, it's third party service.
Yeah.
And we haven't rolled it out yet. We've just been testing it. And so far, like the test, we're just like, all right, how do we break this? How do we dial it in before we implement it? But I foresee it really probably coming on strong within the next 12 months, pretty much in every industry.
What's, if you don't mind me asking for the people listening, what's the name of the company, and what's it about cost, if you don't mind?
I don't even know the answer to either of those.
All right.
I handed it off. Yeah, I handed it off to some other. A
good delegator here.
I handed off some other people on our team. I was like, all right, research this, figure out the price, and you know, I know one of the niches they were specializing in was the decorated apparel industry.
Okay.
So, because once they get that, it dialed in. I think these companies are popping up and figuring out like, okay, what's an industry that, you know, is large enough plus has, you know, the call volume and questions, and then they can train it pretty general across like an entire industry.
Yeah. And
then once they sell the service to a particular business, they've already got it 90% of the way built out with general questions, and then you just have to finish the other 10% of like what's unique to your business.
Yeah, it's all about the prompt. I have an AI, so for my Airbnbs, I have an AI messenger. It's maybe 60-70% works most of the time, which is still great. It's still awesome. But the biggest thing with that is the prompt. If the prompt doesn't have the info that the guest needs, the Wi-Fi password, where the TV remote is, the door, the unique access to the back door, the hot tub info, whatever, then the AI is shit, you know, because it doesn't have the info.
Yep.
So I think it's all about that prompt. So cool. Kind of switching gears to the commercial real estate world. I don't want to miss out on that. Where are things headed now for you, and what's on the next horizon?
Yeah, so right now we've got a ton of momentum. We just passed $90 million in assets under management.
Awesome, dude.
We've got 2 more properties under contract, and a few more in the pipeline. So I feel the momentum carrying us to break over that 100 million mark, which is a big milestone.
I've already been telling people you're over 100. So.
All right. All right. Well, we're close. So we're going to hit there in the next probably 2 months. And so that's an exciting milestone. And so now we're looking, beyond that and saying, okay, really this isn't a side hustle anymore. Mm-hmm. It's, all right, how do we continue to expand upon this? And so I think the next step would be hiring, right now it's me and my wife, basically. And so hiring a investor manager, someone to help raise capital, manage, the investors and stuff like that. And then an acquisitions person to underwrite deals, help get deals through. That takes up a lot of time, just sourcing the deals, underwriting them, and then once you get them under contract, going through the due diligence and everything else. So, with a small team, we've been somewhat limited because, once I get one, we've had 2 times this year where I closed I had 3 deals in a contract at once and closed them. Actually 3 times this year. Oh my God. And the first time after I had 3 deals under contract at once, I was like, I am never doing this again. Because it's just so much bandwidth with one person to do it once and to try not to miss something. And you're raising the capital plus doing the due diligence.
What's your turnaround times usually? Because you don't do, obviously you probably have some guys on the sideline ready to invest that are ready to go, but you're not really making the capital calls until you get that under contract, right?
Yeah, in some cases, we've got capital coming in on a monthly basis because we usually have enough deal flow that it's kind of keeping up. But there's still a lot of moving parts and then coordinating the closing and stuff like that, in that 45-day period. So at the beginning... You close them in
45 days?
Yeah, usually it ends up being around 45, maybe 60, depending on if we're waiting on an appraisal or something like that.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Because your due diligence is 45.
30.
Oh, you only do 30?
Yeah, typically 30.
So on my bigger ones that I bought a 12-plex last year and then this 5-unit commercial building. My closing window, because the seller wanted to close a lot later, has been 6 or 7 months. But I'll always try to jack up the due diligence period to 60 or 90 days. So
these are pretty
quick turnaround.
Yeah, with a single tenant net lease, it's pretty
cut and dry.
Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. There's not a lot to go in and
it's not 20 different leases and 20 different individuals living there. And
yeah, we can, we understand, a lot of it's in the lease because if it's triple net and the tenant's taking care of all the maintenance and everything else, there's not a whole lot we have to do as far as inspections and stuff like that. But yeah, so at the beginning of the year, we did 3 at once. I was like, man, this is just a lot. I'm not doing that again. And then of course, again in July, we had 3, and then we just did another tranche of 3. And I'm like, gosh, I'm not doing this again. And then of course, right now we've got 2 under contract and possibly a 3rd one coming. I'm like, well, maybe everything just does happen in groups of 3 right now. And that's just the theme of the year. But I'm seeing where it's just a lot at once. So I need to hire somebody to help, take on that part and because before that we'd get one under contract and I'd just tell brokers hey, I'm working on this deal. I don't have time to essentially bring another one on.
Yeah.
So I'd keep it in the pipeline and sometimes we'd lose a deal because we weren't able to act fast enough. So I think having someone in charge of capital raising and investors and then someone working on the acquisitions will help that speed. And I think, so it took us 4 years to get to 100 million. And then I think, the next 100, hopefully we can do in half the time.
That's sweet. Do you think that acquisition guys could do both roles for now?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah. Because how many investors do you have?
Right around 100.
Okay, yeah, that's quite a bit. Yeah, yeah, we probably could do it.
Yeah.
You can find a dog. What are you looking for?
Yeah.
Give a shout out. What are you looking for, Tom? Maybe someone watching wants to come work for you.
Yeah, I mean, if it's capital raiser,
Yep.
someone that's, eager and wants to grow with a company, we're fun to work with.
Yeah.
We make it fun, and but you have to be able to run.
Yeah,
and
you
keep
got to
up.
run 4.5 miles though. I barely made the pass. I don't know if I
Yeah.
made the qualification this morning, but that's funny. So talk to me a little bit about. I'd love to get in kind of overview of the numbers and how you kind of structure your fast food stuff. So obviously you're going to, and correct me if I'm wrong. What I would guess just from the deals I've done, you're going to the bank and you're getting 75 to 80% of the capital from that, right?
Yep.
And then from there, you're raising the other 20 to 25% with investor funds.
Yeah, it's a mix of either investor funds or our own capital.
Yep.
So it really just depends how it works out, like what the cash on cash return is. So we look at the cash on cash return and understand, like, all right, how much of that can we give to investors?
Yep.
And then if there's a gap in there, then we have to fill that gap with their own capital.
And so on that, you're giving them a 8 to 10% preferred return, right? Your investors.
Yep.
And that's quarterly distributions or monthly distributions or yearly or
Yeah,
just
so we've
depends.
got a few different things set up on the syndications in the fund. Those are quarterly distributions with that 8 pref.
Okay.
Right now we've got it's called the Rauen Capital Cash Flow Fund.
Okay.
And
What does that mean?
It's a debt fund, and we pay a 10% return on that. And
Just
it's
straight 10.
Straight 10.
Okay.
So never below,
Yep.
never above.
Just straight 10.
They don't have equity in the deal, but it's backed by the deal. And we pay that every single month.
Okay.
And what we found is a lot of investors like getting the 10% every month. Some of them don't need the depreciation, so they didn't mind not having that part of it. Some investors that had invested in 2021, 2022, 2023 in multifamily, they thought the 8 pref was like a guaranteed return.
Yep.
And if some of these deals that they got into had variable interest rates, where now all of a sudden, like, they're not getting those distributions.
They didn't stress max it for 7%.
Right. And
that's what
so
you're
now
saying.
they're not getting distributions. And especially if it's someone that's retired, they were expecting those distributions as like retirement income to, for their lifestyle. And so that's where, this 10% fund, really people enjoy, because like a CD, you're locked in at like 4 or 5, right? But you're not getting a monthly distribution. Like, you're waiting until the end, whether it's like 6 months or 12 months or 18 months until you're getting paid from it. And so it's not really like a passive income thing. It's just like, all right, here's where I'm going to park the money for a little bit. So instead of making 4 or 5% on a CD, this fund is like, you put it in, but then every month you're getting paid back out. So like an example is, if it was $100,000 investment, over the course of the year, that would pay out 10%, which is $10,000.
Yep.
So on a monthly basis, we're, ACH and the investor, $833.33.
Yep.
So they can just basically back out the math, and they're like, all right, well, for me to pay like whatever bills or to live off of every month, if they need $1,000 a month or $2,000 or $4,000, then they just figure out like, okay, well, if I invest $300,000 or $400,000 into this fund, here's what my monthly income will be, essentially to live off of. And so people enjoy it, and that fund's been really successful for us. And we're continuing to just pump that up. We'll probably do some other equity funds or syndications in 2026, but 2025 has been all about that 10% debt fund.
How much did you raise in that? And then you're using that for the purchase of the property or renovations or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So far we've raised about $3.5 million in the debt fund.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So
awesome.
it's helped, and that's what's helped, with kind of all the acquisitions and that growth this year.
Sweet. Yeah, because I've raised some private money on my own for the flips, but that's easier. I'll do kind of the preferred return, and I'll do like a joint venture agreement, and then I'll say, hey, if you bring the money for this, we'll give you X amount of percent when the deal closes, so there's a little more risk. I do like 18.5% of the net profit. So if they bring the money for the repairs, I'll give them almost 20% of the net profit, but they got to wait to the end. So there's a little more risk. Sometimes like, hey, the deal might sell for more than we think. Sometimes it might sell for less, or I'll have to hold it for a while or whatever. So it's kind of, if someone's a little more riskier on that front, and then I'll just do the straight kind of guarantee sometimes too. But I like, it just depends what the person wants.
Yeah.
But I won't do the monthly distributions just because my accounting's not that good yet. We were just like, wait to the end. Well, I'll pay you out the 10 or 12% at the end, and then we'll go to the next one. So
yeah, with the debt fund, so I used to have some stuff structured a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And with this debt fund, it just simplifies it. And I think it's easier for investors to understand and to grasp a hold of it. Like, hey, here's exactly what we're doing. And there's also like, it takes out that what if or that guesswork at the end of the project.
But the thing with that, you have to have constant deal flow to use the money.
So you need deal flow. You need the cash flow to service the debt fund.
Yep.
So you need everything kind of working in harmony. But yeah, like it's not for everybody, so when I talk to investors, I'm like, hey, everybody should have, some of their investments diversified into different buckets. So whether you've got some in stocks or 401k, and then some in alternative investments like real estate, even within real estate, I think different asset class or different stuff. So you could look at some deals that are, potentially if they perform well, you could get a 20 to 25% return.
Yeah. Right.
And then there's some other deals that are maybe like 15 to 20, and the level of return goes with the level of risk.
Yeah.
And so coming back down to the 10% deal, it's like, well, it's pretty low risk because we've got really good, Class A real estate in prime locations with national tenants, Starbucks, Arby's, Applebee's, with 10 to 20-year leases backing this investment up. And we're not doing, any fix and flip or anything like that. Like, it's just very passive, very hands-off stuff that we know is, Starbucks going to pay rent every month.
Yeah.
And so I always say, like, that's the 10% bucket. And you need that bucket. And if you want to take a little bit of your money and put it in other buckets, but it's nice to have this kind of safer bucket, as I would call it, and a little lower return, but a consistent return at that.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about your, properties that you're maybe buying with, I don't know, maybe are you buying any B or C class type of stuff, or mostly all A class?
No, all A class.
All A class. Okay.
Yeah.
So is your plan with the people you're paying a preferred return to is eventually sell it down the road and then pay back all their capital? Obviously, you've been paying them every single month since then. Or you're going to refinance that, pay them out then, and then continue to own it in your fund? Yeah,
so with the syndications and the fund, the properties that are in those, we have a specific 10-year hold period.
Okay.
With the debt fund, it's a 1-year hold period.
Okay.
So on those, we can refinance out of, any of the properties in the portfolio. Mm-hmm. And yeah, the goal there is to eventually refinance out to investors and, continue to grow that gotcha. Portfolio. But since we've been taking on debt investors, really since 2018, we haven't had any investors redeem or cash out their investment because they enjoy getting that passive income every month. And in most cases, with most of our investors, every year or even a couple times a year, they're just adding to their initial investment. So then their monthly distribution just keeps increasing.
That's a lot of stewardship.
Yeah.
You're a good steward.
And that's the goal. I take it very seriously, and I know, I think growing up in the Midwest, farm family,
Yep.
We know like the value of a dollar. And I know, growing up baling hay and working on a farm and stuff, like I know how hard people have to work to earn their money. And if they're willing to invest that, hard-earned money with me, that's my number one priority is, all right, I need to work hard to earn them the return, and not only get them a return, but to be able to protect it and be able to give it back to them.
For sure.
And so I don't take that lightly. That is my number one, I guess, priority and focus is when somebody, is willing to cut you a check and believe in what you're doing and everything else, that you've got to get them that return and you've got to protect it at all costs and be a good steward of that investment.
For sure. Because you're not, it's one thing like when I buy my own, or probably same thing for you. When you buy your own properties, you're not lenient. It's not like you're trying to lose money or whatever, but you're like, okay, I messed up there. That's my mistake. It's my own dollars out the door, whatever. Same thing with like my Airbnbs is like, okay, I messed something up on a cleaning or whatever, a guest messed up, I'll eat it. But when it's someone else's property, someone else's money, someone else's income, it just raises the bar. Like it just makes me go a whole nother level, because it's like, it's just not me on the line. This is someone might be expecting this extra $500 to pay their bills or whatever. And you don't, I think it's just growing up, in the Midwest, baling hay, all that fun stuff. When you're 10, 12 years old, going to work, getting after it. So that's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Sweet. Well, kind of switching a little bit to Tom's psychology, personal development, I feel like is always big for you. What do you, what's maybe something early on that you wish your younger self would have known that you know now, and that might have changed your trajectory back then? So.
I think just working on mindset and having an understanding of ourselves more. I just did a wellness retreat a month ago, and the first question the facilitator asked when we got there is like, how well do you know yourself? And it was like on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
And I think I ranked myself a 7. And then he went through a series of exercises and some different things. And then it was like 4 hours later, he's like, all right, rank yourself 1 to 10. How well do you know yourself? And then I was at like a 4.
Wow.
And because after these exercises, like, wow, there's a lot that I still don't know. And I've been working on it for the last at least 10 years. And I realized like, wow, there's still a lot of work yet to be done. And with trail running and running 100-mile races, I get a lot of time on the trails in nature with my brain, basically, to be able to, work on some of those, whether it's like mental roadblocks or a lot of it's false beliefs or pre-programmed
limiting beliefs
and stuff that could come from childhood, from grandparents, parents, other surroundings, school teachers, just all different things that when you grow up, there's different patterns and different things that people saying is like, well, is that really true? Or is this a limiting belief that is just a pattern in my head right now? And so I think expanding beyond that, and so I listen to a lot of personal development books, big believer in anything by Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, The Secret, just manifesting your, setting goals, and, just kind of manifesting what, your vision, your goals, everything, and how to, get there within 3 years, 5 years, like whatever that is, or when you're setting them, how to reverse engineer it, and then how to, make it actionable. But then also having the mindset and the emotional and mental, I guess just like capacity to get there. And one of the biggest things that's helped me is with the trail running, you know, no matter how much I prepare for a 100-mile race, when I get to the starting line, I know without a doubt what's going to happen is something's going to happen I didn't prepare for.
Yeah.
Everything's going to happen that I didn't prepare for. And I'm going to have to solve problems. I'm going to have to overcome challenges I wasn't thinking about. I'm going to have to, you know, blast down some definitely mentally and emotional roadblocks during the course of running all that time. And when you hit those thresholds of like a mental, physical, or emotional breaking point,
yeah,
and you're able to push beyond that, then it raises that threshold up. And the more I'm able to keep increasing like where that threshold of capacity is, the easier everything else becomes after that.
Yep.
And so an example is like in 2020, we're going through COVID. There's just a lot happening, right?
Yeah.
The business is getting hit, and people are like, man, you seem so calm and collected right now. Like, why aren't you stressed out?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, last year I ran this 100-mile race. I almost died on the side of a mountain. So I'm like, I'm not dying on the side of a mountain right now. Like, it's COVID. We just have to follow the rules differently and adjust like our game plan. But I'm like, I've learned how to adjust and how not to let it emotionally or mentally like overcome me. And the same goes like in all types of business. Like, you come into the office and whatever your game plan was, your day's not, you're going to get hit with something you weren't expecting.
Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah,
right?
really. And then like adjusting that, so when I said like you raise your threshold to what your comfort level is, and when your previous ceiling becomes your floor, that's when you can keep growing and keep pushing it up. So I remember, when we first did our first $1 million deal.
Yeah.
It felt like
holy shit.
Yeah, holy crap, here we go, right?
Yeah.
And then our first $5 million deal, and it was like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
Right? But now the $1 million is like our floor, and our ceiling's at 10. Well, now as we hit 100 million, at some point here, our new floor is going to be 10.
Yeah.
And I've been looking at deals that are 25, 50. I just looked at Westin Hotel that was 125 million, and that gave me like
that's badass.
Oh shit, this is wild. But at the same time, the 125 million didn't scare me completely. It was like, you know what, this is big, but at the same time I was like, this is possible.
Yeah.
And so I think just continually looking for that improvement. How do we keep raising the threshold, raising the bar, from our experience, from a comfort level, from an emotional and mental standpoint? That's the biggest thing. I think I could go back is like, all right, how do I keep working on that, working on myself and being able to build that up? And it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time.
Were you a runner in high school and stuff, or that's kind of something you built after school, or what? How'd that come about?
No, I started definitely later in life. In high school, I ran cross country, but it was a social thing. I actually tried every practice. I tried to figure out how to not run. Like if we were running on the streets, I saw a friend driving by in his car, like try to wave at him, be like, "Hey, stop, pick me up," and like drive me to the checkpoint or something. So I was terrible at that. My coach probably did not like me at all in high school. But yeah, it was really at some point, I think I was like 30 and we were doing t-shirts for this 5K race. I was like, hey, I could probably like get into shape a little bit better and I want to support this charity. And so I did the 5K race, and then I'm super competitive. So I was like, all right, I think I could do another one. And then I did 10K, and then I was like, well, I've always wanted to do a half marathon and a marathon. And then, but once I realized, besides the competitive, like once I realized the benefit of running to clear your mind and the stress reliever, and then all the correlations of that with business and how like just personal growth. That's what really just set me on this journey of ultra marathons and going beyond the 5K.
Yeah, I think because I had never gotten to running until after high school, after college. Sport ball guy. If there's a ball, I'm gonna chase it around. That was my competition. And I think the biggest difference, kind of what you were saying, from playing basketball or lifting in the gym, like I love to lift in the gym, from running, is just the beliefs that you're able to change, because it's just like for an hour or two, it's just you against you. Like you can go do a heavy set of bench press in the gym, but that's maybe going to take you 30 seconds. It's not that time over tension again and again and again. I remember when I did my first half Ironman, I messed the one up in Michigan. I went up there and was swimming, and I only got halfway out there because there was 3-foot waves that day, and I was just swimming in Iowa farm ponds. And so I was taking on water. I'm like, I'm done. So I just came back to Iowa and did it in Saylorville. And I got off the bike. It was like 95, and I was like, this is how you run again? But like that was one of the first times where I was like had a major breakthrough that I still remember. It was just some stupid limiting belief in high school that I still held. And I was like, holy cow, like why is that coming up right now? Like I'm just running on a trail. But it was just that time, because I didn't do anything with speaker, like headphones or nothing. I don't know if you're the same way. Do you just raw dog it, or do you
it
have
depends.
Headset on? Or
I change it up. So it depends whether it's during a race or during training.
Yeah. Race, are you headphones or just out there in
I'll do some of each.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you got 100 miles.
Yeah, we got a long ways to go. We'll do whatever to change up the mood or switch it up. But yeah, like when you're out there, whether it's training or in a race, it's you versus you.
Yep. No one's coming to save you.
No, you can quit at any point. You could stop. You could start walking. You could do a lot of things. But at some point, like, it's you pushing yourself to say, like, all right, is this the best me that I can give? Mm-hmm. Is this all I have to give? And, and when the little like person on your shoulder is telling you to stop or quit or slow down or whatever, can you overcome that and say, no, I've got more to give. I can push myself. And that's where you have those breakthroughs, and, you get like the second wind or whatever. Yeah. And I've had ones where, I was completely dying, completely out of gas, thought I was quitting the race. And all of a sudden I get to mile 80 and I get this shift, and I'm down to running, 8-minute miles again. Yeah. And it's just like, holy crap, I didn't even think this was possible. Like, how is this happening right now where I'm running as fast at mile 80 as I was at mile 7? And so I think when you have those breakthroughs and you understand like what's possible, and when you go beyond, you understand like your limiting factor there was your mind, not your body.
Yeah. It's big. Yeah. You don't get that in the gym.
No,
you don't. I think that's sweet. I know you're a pretty charitable guy, kind of switching it up a little bit. If you had a blank check in 12 months to just, no real estate, that's all on pause, no t-shirts, no brewery, what would you focus on and give back to?
Oh, wow. So we support a lot of different things. One of them, because I love the benefits of nature and trail running and everything like that, we support Dubuque County Conservation a lot. I host a trail run, which then raises money for those parks. I think the more and more technology that people have and are consumed by, kids and everything else, the more just getting out in nature and being unplugged, and the benefits of that for everyone's health. So definitely towards conservation and the trails and outdoor recreation, things like that. We support I'm on the University of Dubuque Board of Trustees, supporting, college and education and what that looks like going forward. You know, we're looking at the college of the future. How does education look in 5 years or 10 years with AI, and how do we continue to educate people to through collaboration and through hands-on learning, and being able to learn in a different environment than the old traditional way. And then anything with kids, there's a number of different charities, but I just like to give everybody the opportunity to, do different things and have that opportunity to do something they love, whether it's music or art, or something else, outdoor sports, whatever they're passionate about. And with kids, letting them fulfill everything that they can.
For sure. That's awesome. Well, we end every podcast, Tom, with a lightning round. We got to get you back for those Christmas lights. I know you're on the edge of the seat to put those up. We wouldn't want to steal you of that great honor you have today of helping with that. So I know you've talked about Napoleon Hill already, but what's your favorite book or podcast you'd recommend to somebody?
Favorite book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill.
Yep.
Second favorite book, Extreme Ownership by Jocko.
I haven't read that one yet.
Podcast, I like Business Launch with Roland Frazier.
Haven't listened to that.
It's short and actionable. He's super smart, and it's a lot of different just actionable business things.
That's good. That's a good list. That's awesome. What's something people often get wrong about your industry, and we'll have it focused on the commercial real estate stuff?
I think they lump everything together. So if they see a headline that says commercial real estate's in the tank right now, it's hurting. Well, it's like, well, is that all commercial real estate or just one section? So that's been the headline for the last year, but that might only apply to office space as an asset class. Yep. And that's not all office space, because office space in Dubuque is still strong, but office space in San Francisco and New York isn't. So I think when they see headlines or lumping a lot of different asset classes together, or even a lot of regions, because even during 2008, 2009, when, there was a huge crash, I would say Iowa, for the most part, was pretty insulated versus Vegas and Phoenix and Florida, where all of a sudden, you had these $500,000 homes that were only worth $200,000. Yep. Well, in Iowa, I don't know, I feel like our economies are a little bit more isolated from the coast, that, those bumps might have been $10,000 or $20,000 versus 50%, right? And so I think just the misconception of when they see a headline or they hear something, grouping it all together and not understanding there's so many different asset classes, so many different regions, so many different areas of real estate, that multiple things can be true at the same time. Yeah,
the market here in Iowa is so, like what you said, so insulated. That's in 2008, I think the prices went down a couple percent, but when you're already the most affordable, you really can't go down much more. Yep. I think Iowa was either first or second in affordability this last year in housing. And so when you're already the cheapest, labor and materials really can't get much cheaper than that, so that's awesome. What's one underrated skill that's helped you win?
I would go for mindset. Yeah. And that's, like I said, that skill was kind of honed, and I've worked on it really hard the last 10 years, and especially with the trail running, to build up that not only abundant mindset, but the tenacity that goes with, just dealing with anything. It takes a lot to grow a big real estate portfolio. Yeah. And I think mindset of of knowing that it's possible, but then also, being able to handle everything in between. I know some people would probably crumble under that pressure, and so having just a positive, abundant mindset has helped change everything.
Yeah, knowing that you can do it and then just getting after it.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we talked about before, when something doesn't go your way, you're bouncing back.
Yep.
Cool. Well, this was awesome, Tom. I appreciate you letting me come out here, going on a run this morning, doing this, having the podcast is great. We'll have to do it again once you get to your second 100 million. And so where can people find you, reach out to you, get to know a little bit more about you?
Yes. Fast Food Landlord is the handle on Instagram.
Sweet.
So at Fast Food Landlord. And if you want to learn more about investing in triple net lease, you can go to fastfoodlandlord.com/free guide. And I've got a free guide on just everything on investing in triple net lease commercial real estate.
I love it. When's the school module coming out? I want to be your first guy.
Very soon.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Again, Tom here, Fast Food Landlord. You guys have a great day.